Today, we're gonna be talking about the coolest things in my Pokemon collection. That's right, some of you guys have been asking for a video about all of the cool stuff here in my room. What better time to do it than now? I have been collecting Pokemon cards and Pokemon in general for a really, really long time. So I've got all sorts of stuff. Plushes, video games, cards, statues, collectibles, all sorts of things. So I'm gonna make a list of the top 10 coolest things in my Pokemon collection. Some of these things are pretty nostalgic for me, and they might actually hit pretty close to home for you guys as well. So sit back, relax, and let's enter the nostalgic world of Pokemon. Sleeved booster packs. So I actually really like sleeved booster packs because they're an easy way to kind of collect a little bit of each set. So recently I've been trying to get an art set of each of the recent sets, and recently I even started collecting some of the older sets as well. I actually wanted to make a video where I collected one of every sleeved booster pack, starting with like the new set, then Sword and Shield, then Sun and Moon, and kind of like working backwards. But that's a project that we actually haven't done yet. So if you think that that's a cool video idea, let me know in the comment section down below, and if enough people say that they like it, that actually might be a project that I do. I also like getting sleeve boosters because they're actually really good for giveaways as well. And honestly, sleeve boosters are like one of the things that I can actually find pretty often in the current Pokemon climate, so that's how I feel about sleeve boosters. Sealed Pokemon collection. I was actually collecting Elite Trainer boxes, and I actually had one from each of the Scarlet and Violet sets and a lot of the Sword and Shield sets. I really like the ETBs because they're kind of like compact and they look really nice on the shelves, because collecting booster boxes is cool, but especially now with the new kind of like black front of the booster boxes, I think that ETBs are definitely a much cooler thing to collect and definitely a lot more affordable, especially if you can get them for MSRP. Now, if you've been a long time watcher of the channel, you know that this isn't our original set. When I first started filming, I was filming back in my apartment, and this is actually my house. And unfortunately, I did have to sell a big portion of my sealed collection, but I didn't sell any of my singles or any of the other stuff. And I started rebuilding my collection recently. As you can see, I have a couple of ETBs. I got some of these cooler older boxes with like Fusion Strike and Evolving Skies on the back. Then here we've got, the Kangaskhan box is pretty recent. Pikachu V box is old. This is one of my favorite products here. The Grand Adventure Collection, just because, like I said, I like all things Pokemon. So I love the anime, and I love how that has the big promo card with all the characters in it. Got a couple of these lunch boxes. Got one for Mega, got one for Surging. I have a Charizard UPC or whatever. And I got two of these. This one's called the Rival Battle Deck, and this one's the Mega Battle Deck. But I love these because I love Gengar and Haunter. And then here, obviously, I love Morpeko and Marnie, and I think the artwork's very cool. So nothing too valuable here, just a couple of things that are, I want to once again rebuild my ETB collection when I get a chance, but for now, this is just some of the stuff I have. I honestly just save stuff to open later for the channel. Like, we'll eventually open up the Ascended Heroes ETB and stuff, so. Slabs. I'm not a big slab collector, and recently, due to all of the weird kind of things that are happening with PSA, I've become kind of like an anti-slab collector, but I do have some slab, and the reason why I will even mention my slab collection, which is the collection that stretches some of my slab cards, is because all of my slab, they're cards that I opened and I submitted. Some of them are cards that I've had for a while. Some of them are cards that I've had recently. So like I was saying, a lot of these slabs are stuff that I opened. So these here, you can see they are poorly graded. This is a 3, a 5, and a 6. A 3 on the Venusaur, a 6 on the Blastoise, and a 5 on the Charizard. And the reason why these are graded so low is because these were actually from my childhood. These are cards that I opened, and I actually played with these because even as a kid, I loved playing the TCG, and I wasn't particularly good at it, but I did enjoy making my own decks and kind of playing with the game. So, obviously I'm gonna want to play with Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise. So that's why these are in such great condition. This was my first PSA 10. It was a Charizard V-Star. I believe I opened this on the channel. There's no way I'm gonna find that clip, but I opened this at some point in the channel and I got it graded and it was a 10. So that's pretty cool. This is probably my most valuable Charizard. This or another one coming up later. Lost Origins Pikachu, graded this one. This is another kind of like trainer gallery style card, and I love Pikachu with the girl from Pokemon Legends Arceus, so that's another cool one. This one, very cool too. This I can find the clip because this was from the video that I went to Colombia, and I opened the Entei V from the Crown Zenith ETB, and it actually graded a 10. And Entei is actually my favorite legendary dog, so that actually worked out pretty well. I had a bunch of Radiant Charizards. This was the one that I thought was the best looking. This is actually one of the cards that I purchased. This is Dawn and Piplup. Again, trainer gallery style card. This was from Cosmic Eclipse, so I'm not sure if they were called Trainer Gallery. Let me know in the comment section down below what these cards were called back then, because I don't believe they were Trainer Gallery, maybe just Full Art Piplup, I'm not sure, but this one's really cool. I actually really wanted the one with the red and Pikachu, and I didn't buy it for like $100, and now that card's like more than that. Here's another Charizard. Again, you know, hey, we gotta have our Charizard, so I sent this one in. I love Leon and Charizard's all right, so I figured this was a good grade to send. So even though, again, it's not, I don't care about value, so it didn't come back a 10, but I did have 4 of them, so maybe one of them could have been a 10. This is another one of the ones that I purchased. Celebi. My favorite Pokemon is Mew, and Celebi is another cute legendary that I kind of liked. So I purchased this one because I really love the artwork on it. It was a pretty cheap card to get. So, you know, I collect these for the collection, for the love of the cards and the artwork. And I think the artwork on this Celebi is really awesome. So, all right, so these two here, the Blastoise and the Venusaur, are actually supposed to be part of my 151 master set. Brian actually, he's a store owner and he sold these to me at raw price. I'm gonna open them and put them in the binder at some point, but for now they're encapsulated, so we're not gonna count these as anything. The special delivery Charizard I also opened. Well, I got it. This is my personal copy of the card. They were doing a promotion where if you bought something, you would get it. I bought like a Team Rocket tie and I got the card. The Mewtwo, this is the SIR from Pokemon Go. I love this card, and I actually opened this one as well. I was super excited to open this one because I thought the artwork on this was so cool, because Pokemon Go kind of felt like they were putting like the Pokemon in the real world. And this one's like Mewtwo in like downtown New York. Last but not least, my favorite card of all time. This is the Mew from Legendary Treasures Radiant Collection. I bought this one from PSA for really cheap. Too. I believe this card has kind of blown up in price a little bit. This is my favorite Mew artwork. I love the colors. I love how vibrant it is. I love how clear you can see Mew on it. I bought this one, I believe for like, I think $30, and I think this thing's like shot up in price. So I'm glad I picked it up when I did. So if you like a card and it's cheap, don't, definitely pull the trigger. I feel like a lot of people get really hung up on price and they're like, oh, I don't want that because it's so cheap, or you know, people just feel the need to buy cards just to flex. Just buy the cards you like. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about having a valuable collection, because at the end of the day, if you have like cool cards, you know, eventually they'll blow up in price if that's what you care about, I guess. Original vintage cards. Like I said, I've been collecting Pokemon cards since I was a kid. When I got back into Pokemon about 4 years ago, I dug up my old Pokemon cards from when I was a child, and I actually got a binder, a big binder, one of the 4x4 binders, and I put every single vintage card that I had. So basically all of my base set, jungle, fossil, and base set 2 cards are kind of in this binder that I'll show here. And these are just kind of the cards that I had. As you can see, I actually have a decent amount of old vintage cards here, and I was actually thinking of completing this, whether on camera or, you know, me personally kind of going to events. I figured, oh, every time I go to like a card party or Collecticon, I would just buy a couple of cards and just kind of like start filling in the blanks on the binder until I have a complete set of base set, jungle, fossil, and maybe base set 2. Just because, like, you know, those are the cards that I had when I was a kid, and I'm most nostalgic about those particular sets. So this binder here, where I have all of my kind of vintage cards, that's a really kind of, you know, near and dear thing to my collection. Like you can see, it's not complete. Obviously, it's missing a lot of cards. It's just kind of cool to see some of the old cards, you know, that I had before. So, plushes and merch. So as you can see around here and there and basically everywhere you look, even up there I have like a Mew hanging. I like Pokemon plushes. I like to not overdo it. I kind of buy plushes of my favorite Pokemon. We got the Gengar, Dragonite, Vespiquen, Rowlet, and the Mew is over here. We do have those. And we also have a bunch of Pikachus, because Cherry's favorite Pokemon is Pikachu. This one's actually one of those World merch things that I was talking about, where, you know, you would go to the event and you would have something that's special. This one's from the Worlds in Anaheim. It's not just plushes that I like. I also like Pokemon merch. Been to a couple of big Pokemon tournaments, but specifically NAIC, which is the National Pokemon Competition, which I've played at multiple times. Every time I do go, I'll always end up getting some merch, whether it's some like clothing, deck boxes, play mats, all those kind of cool little knickknacks to remind me of the event are all very cool and things that I collect. Probably my favorite thing to collect at these events are these ceramic Pikachu figures. I'm gonna show you them here. I have 3 of them. 2 of them are from NAIC, and I actually got this one really cool one from World because it's got the cool little Anaheim jacket and stuff, so love that. I've also got a couple of other little things. I've got this Charizard from the, you know, premium Charizard collection. I think the figure looks really cool. I've got this Pokeball that's kind of like a 21 questions kind of thing, where it asks you questions and it tries to guess what Pokemon you have. Doesn't have every Pokemon, it has to be one from this list. So for the sake of this example, let's go with Chimchar.
I can read your mind and guess which Pokemon you're thinking of. Can your Pokemon evolve into another Pokemon?
Yes.
Is your Pokemon a first partner Pokemon?
Yes.
Is it a fire type?
Yes.
Is your Pokemon mainly red or orange?
Yes.
Is it originally from the Kanto region?
No.
I think I found it. I believe you were thinking of Chimchar.
Yeah, and then once we get it, we cross it out, and that's it. That's how the little game works. I also really like video games, so I've got my Super Nintendo collection kind of on display there with my 3 favorite games of all time up here. I've got Half-Life 2, Majora's Mask, and Chrono Trigger, as well as a Majora's Mask figure that I have on the side there, and you know, some Mario stuff just to commemorate Mario, because who doesn't love Mario, right? Forgot to mention was this pretty cool Pokemon fan art. It kind of like mixes a little bit of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, as well as like some Dragon Ball Z references and stuff, and I thought it's pretty cool. I got it signed by the author. Here, this is a really cool one. So this is something I got commissioned. This is a pretty cool artwork. It's supposed to be me with my Pokemon team, is what the guy said he would do. So I picked my 5 favorite Pokemon, which were Gengar, Dragonite, Vespiquen, Mew, and Rowlet. And then I actually needed to pick one more Pokemon, and at the time I was actually playing Scarlet and Violet, so I picked Glamora. I do got a cool DeLorean poster here. I am a big fan of Back to the Future. And of course, my favorite movie of all time is The Fifth Element, so I do have the poster of Corbin Dallas hugging Lilu.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Pokemon game collection. So like I said, I've been playing Pokemon and collecting Pokemon since I was a kid. So obviously I've got some Pokemon games. I've got everything for the Switch and the Switch 2. I have my copy of Sun and Moon, easily accessible to show you, as well as my X and Y. I may or may not show you my red version and yellow version if I can find that to get you a B-roll clip.
Failure.
But I have that. I have got the advanced games. I've got Pokemon Stadium 2. I've been playing Pokemon for a long time, so I've got a lot of these games, and I really love Pokemon overall. I do have a soft spot for the game, so I'm not as harsh of a critic on the games as I possibly should be. As I've said previously on the channel, I enjoyed Pokemon Legends EA. I know some people have mixed feelings about Pokemon Legends EA. I liked it. I thought it was cool that they tried something different. And I'm excited to see what they do with the next Winds and Waves game, to see if they're gonna stick with ZA or if they're gonna go back to turn-based. Now that they have Pokemon Champions, I feel like what happens with the next Pokemon game is kind of up in the air, because they have their competitive thing, and then now they can just kind of go nuts with the video game. So that's kind of cool and exciting to see what ends up happening with those games. Specific singles. I'm going to talk about a couple of singles that are very near and dear to my heart. I opened this around like middle school, I think. This Raichu Delta species. It's cool because it's Delta species was a set where they would have Pokemon that would switch their typing. So for example, Raichu's usually lightning, and here he's steel, which is kind of cool. Another one that I really like a lot is this Gengar, also around that kind of like middle school, high school time. I opened this one. Gengar's my favorite Pokemon, so I, sleeved it up, put it in my binder, and it was a cool thing in my collection. And then it kind of like stayed in my binder for, 20 years or something. And then now I recently found it. I thought about grading it, but again, because of all the stuff that's happening with PSA, maybe no. Another one that I really like is the Clefable from Expedition. I've got a lot of Expedition cards. This is one of the nicer foil ones. And then this Mewtwo and Mew GX. Mew is my favorite Pokemon, and this is actually my second favorite card with Mew in it. I really love this card because like Mew kind of laughing in the background and Mewtwo's kind of annoyed. And this card's also special because my boy Gabe gave it to me as a birthday gift. So, I was really happy when I received that, especially because I really wanted this card. And I remember saying like, oh, I don't want to spend, $100 on a card or whatever. And then he got it for me, and then now it's worth a lot more than that. So that's kind of a cool thing. As I said before, Marnie is my favorite trainer. So I really love this Morpeko V-Union. I wish this was playable while the V-Union time was around, because I would have loved to have played this card. But I really love these trainer galleries because I love trainers, and then I love Pokemon too. So seeing them together is very cool. So like, for example, with Elisa and Flaffy is awesome. And then Zekrom, Lieutenant Surge and Magnemite, Gary and Jolteon, or Blue and Jolteon, Blue and Flareon. So a lot of those cards that kind of have those mixed things together, I really like. So down here, we've got the 2 banned Japanese cards that never made it to America, because Sabrina looks like she's flicking off with the middle finger, which not really, but that's why they didn't end up bringing this card to the US. And then I got the Misty's Tear, I believe is what it was called, and this one got banned because it looks like Misty's naked. So I got both of these, and it's funny, I actually picked up both of these during the Kanto Pokédex challenge, so extra cool, kind of memorable thing for me, because now I will always remember where I got these, so that's awesome. I even got a couple of like Japanese cards that are pretty vintage, that are from from when I was a child, basically. Here's a Blossom I've got a Lieutenant Surge's Magneton from Gym Heroes, I believe is what it is, or whatever the Japanese variant is called. And I've got a Pichu. So even back then, you can get Japanese cards. And this is when the Japanese cards had the different back. I just think it's kind of cool to see some Japanese vintage cards that I opened myself, you know? And those are some of the singles that I have. Again, like some of them were gifts, some of them I opened, some of them were from my childhood. I kind of got a cool mix of things in there. I'm sure something in there kind of resonated with you. Let me know if any of these cards were your favorite, or let me know what your favorite card is in the comment section down below, because I'm curious to see what cards are you guys' favorite. Hopefully nobody says Moonbryon, because 151 binder. 151 is one of these sets that I master set. I actually have a binder for a lot of the recent sets. The only ones being almost fully complete being Stellar Crown, because I did a video on it, and 151 because I'm a Gen 1er, so I have to get a master set of 151. I'm actually short, like I believe 3 or 4 cards from having the complete 151 set, and they aren't even the most expensive cards. I actually have most of those already. I like getting the cards like as I find them or if I open them, so I just haven't pulled the trigger on the last 4 cards. And I just kind of enjoy looking at this card and comparing it to the vintage cards too, and it's just like a really nostalgic thing, because for me, Kanto is like the original set. For you, it might be Johto, Alola. Depending on when you're watching this, it might even be Paldea. But you'll see in years down the line, the set that you started with is the one that you're most nostalgic for. So if they like re-release your set, you're gonna wanna get that set. Yeah, sorry, that's me trying to justify my 151 obsession, which by the way, I opened up 2 boxes of the first starter boxes, and I actually didn't get the Kanto one, which is really devastating. Hey, listen, Rowlet's one of my favorite Pokemon. I got the Aloha one, that's cool, but not getting that Kanto one I'm still a little salty about that. Full art trainer binder. So for those of you that have been with me for a while, you know that I love full art trainers. Full art trainers are my favorite type of card, so I definitely wanted to have a binder dedicated to the characters. I really love the gym leaders, the Elite Four. I'm a really big fan of Giovanni, so I've got 2 copies of the nice Giovanni card, and I even got the voice actor of Giovanni to sign one of the cards for me. I would have had him sign both, but there's a rule in Pokemon where you can't play with a card if it's signed because it's considered altering the card, which I still think is kind of crazy, but whatever. As well as like Lance, I love Lance. Dragonite's one of my favorite Pokemon, so obviously, we gotta have the Lance card. Yeah, we've got a lot of, we got Brock, Misty, a lot of the recent stuff, Gita, Iono, a lot of the playable trainers from the game. I have full art as well, so some of you may or may not know I do play the game, and whenever I play the game, I like all of my supporters to be full art just so that we have the nice, version of the card. What better way to show that I like the trainers and not to have the full art version of the trainer? I guess it makes sense. That's why, like, for example, I have 4 Cynthia's Ambition. Like, hey, listen, Cynthia's cool, she's not my favorite. But I have 4 copies of Cynthia because, that's the card that I use in a deck. The full art trainer binder is one of my favorite things in my collection because it has all of my full art trainers. And plus, the binder here actually was specially ordered by one of my friends, Gabe, from the channel. He actually ordered it for me and he gave it to me for my birthday. As you can see here, it's got my gamer tag here, God Mage. It's my, favorite binder. That's why I have my favorite cards in it. And then the number 1 thing in my collection is the Kanto Pokédex binder. If you're new to the channel and you haven't yet seen the Kanto Pokédex Challenge, go to my page. I have a playlist called Kanto Pokédex Challenge. It is a 7-episode series where we collect the original 151 Pokemon cards. We travel all across the US to find them. And this binder is the coolest piece of my collection. It's not necessarily the most valuable, but it is the coolest thing for me personally because every time I look at the binder, I can think about where we got the cards, the places that we traveled to, the people I met along the way. It's just kind of like a cool, kind of like nostalgic thing. Like I'll look at the Charizard and I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember where I got the Charizard. And I traded my Legendary Collections Charmander. Or if I look at the Raichu and how beat up it was, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember I was in Atlanta with my wife and then we got such a good deal on the Raichu and then I didn't realize how damaged it was until after I bought it. So these are all kind of cool little moments that like happened in the series that I remember every time I kind of like flip through the binder. So that's why I think the Kanto Pokédex Challenge binder is probably the coolest thing in my collection just because of the story behind each of the cards. But anyway, those are the top 10 coolest things in my Pokemon collection. Let me know what your most treasured Pokemon item is. Is it a card? Is it a binder? It could be a plush, a video game, whatever it is, just let me know in the comment section down below because I'm curious what people value the most in their Pokemon collection. Hey, and don't be ashamed if it's a low value card. Sometimes cards that don't have a lot of value can be really important to you because of maybe how you found it or someone gave it to you, or it has some sort of like value to you personally. So yeah, just let me know which one is your favorite in the comment section down below. And if you love Pokemon content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel. We usually do tons of Pokemon hunts, unboxings, videos like this where we just kind of talk about cool Pokemon stuff. So you definitely want to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. This was a bit of a different video, but I hope you enjoyed it either way, and I will see you guys in the next one. Click this video right here for more awesome Pokemon content. YouTube thinks you'll like it, and so do we.